Native Instruments Maschine can be a great partner to a modular system. In our Maschine Studio course, we discuss some of the Maschine features that might be useful to users of external hardware, like MIDI gear and modular synthesizers when paired with a MIDI to CV interface. Two features that are particularly handy, the Keyboard Mode and the Maschine Arpeggiator, can be used to sequence external gear to create lush and complex patterns and chord structures. Two important functions must be set up before we can use the Keyboard Mode and Arpeggiator in Maschine. First, we will have to set up our MIDI output routing to make sure the signal from our Maschine sound channel settings will make it to our external device. Then, we will enable Keyboard Mode and explore some ways to combine it with the ARP functions hidden in the note repeat mode. First, let's set up the Maschine output routing. Open the Maschine audio and MIDI settings in the File menu. On the MIDI output page, you can enable the Maschine MIDI outputs by clicking the off sign and switching them to on. If you're using a USB MIDI to CV device like the Korg SQ1 or the KMI Q-Nexus, you will want to enable those outputs using the same method. Now, on an empty sound in Maschine, let's enter the sound channel settings and select the Output tab. Select the MIDI tab and make sure the correct device output is selected. If you're using the Q-Nexus, you'll want to make sure you're using the Q-Nexus Virtual Output 3 on MIDI channel 2. For most other devices, simply selecting the device will be enough to get signal out, but consult the product manual for specific details. Let's make sure our MIDI and CV cables are routed appropriately, so that when we play our corresponding pad in Maschine, we will get a sound. If you're using a MIDI to CV module like Mutable Instruments Yarns, simply route a MIDI cable from the output port on the back of the Maschine controller, the port you enabled in the audio and MIDI settings, and into the in port on your module. Route the CV out from whatever MIDI to CV interface you are using to the 1 volt per octave input on an oscillator. Route the gate out to control an envelope, which should in turn be routed to control a VCA to allow us to hear our oscillator when a note is triggered. Time to put Maschine into keyboard mode by pressing the Shift Pad Mode buttons. The pads should switch color, and the screens on the Maschine controller should reflect the keyboard mode. We can set the pads to a certain octave and note range, as well as a specific musical scale or chord set, using the on-screen controls. While chords may seem counterintuitive with a monophonic instrument such as a modular synth, when combined with the ARP, the chord set options become a powerful arpeggio generator, allowing for interesting chord sequences using diatonic scale tones. While still in keyboard mode, enable note repeat. Usually reserved for creating unique rhythmic patterns for percussive sounds, note repeat becomes a powerful arpeggiator when Maschine is in keyboard mode. Using the ARP controls with the Maschine chord sets, musical passages start to get complex very quickly. When recording patterns, Maschine will record each note that the ARP plays, allowing easy edits and variations to be created. As always, thanks for watching, and please like, follow, and subscribe.